I really wish I had a pile of laundry to fold right now so that way I could do some habit stacking, but I am so behind on laundry that I don't even have a pile of laundry in the washer. It is just all in the closet. So today my habit stacking will be enjoying this cup of coffee. But hello you guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome here. My name is Kylene. I'm a mom to two littles. I have a son named Rocky who is 2 in like 4 months or so. He turned 2 August 31st. And I have a daughter, her name is Echo, and she is 9 months. So my kids are exactly 19 months apart. And today I'm going to be sharing just a motherhood like lifestyle Q&A with you guys. I have not filmed a sit-down video in what feels like forever. I have been super into daily vlogs. I just decided to switch it up today. I think the last Q&A I did was over the summer and it was actually with Nathaniel. So you guys haven't really heard from just me in a while, and I thought it would be fun to answer some of like the commonly asked questions I'm getting right now. So if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, that's where I usually do the polls so that you can ask anything. I will leave that linked as well so that way you guys can be involved next time. But we're just going to jump right in it because I am always chatty and I know this one's going to be a long one. So why don't you join me, you get your drink of choice, and let's get started. All right, first question, I got this one a ton. And the question was it harder going from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2 kids? So if you guys have been following me for a while, you know I would have died on the hill that 0 to 1 kids was harder than 1 to 2 kids a few months ago. 0 to 1 kids is the biggest life transformation you'll ever have. You are responsible for other living humans, and your schedule is no longer your schedule, especially if you plan to like breastfeed for a while. You literally can't even like be away from your baby, but even if you're not breastfeeding, like your baby depends on you. So it was the biggest shock to me. I remember feeling like I had to kind of mourn my old self, and I was like, there's no way any other transition from any more kids will be any harder, because that like just hit me like a brick wall. But I am now, like I said, 9 months in of having 2 kids, and I don't think 1 to 2 was harder, but I will say it is just as hard for me as 0 to 1 was, but in different ways. But a pro to that is I feel like I'm finally kind of figuring it out. The transition for 1 to 2, I feel like isn't necessarily hard in the sense that like it's not doable. Yes, if you are parenting alone, you are outnumbered, but depending on your age gap, your first kid can be helpful in some ways. But for me, the hardest part is trying to do things like this, is trying to work and really just trying to find time for myself. So that could be something where if you're a stay-at-home mom, the hardest part is going to be prioritizing and finding time for yourself, especially the age my kids are at right now. They're on opposite schedules. My daughter's on a 2-nap schedule and my son is on a 1-nap schedule. But I will say, I dreaded this time of life because I was going to keep Echo on the schedule I had Rocky on at this age, which would have completely been opposite of what Rocky's schedule was. And instead I got smarter and I decided to flip the length of her naps, where her morning nap is a little bit shorter, so that way her second nap lines up with Rocky's nap for at least an hour and a half, usually 2 hours. So you just kind of have to figure things out. I feel like giving yourself time to understand like what your new normal is going to be is the way that you make it the easiest. But 2 kids is a lot. I definitely will say Nathaniel and I have fought more since having Echo than we did just having Rocky. We used to never fight before kids, and we definitely bicker a ton now, and I think it's just because we're tired, we're overwhelmed, we're constantly just doing things. And so yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's been kind of hard, especially the past few months, but I do feel like the last like few weeks I've really kind of figured out my life. And for me personally, doing social media, I've really understood that like I just need to keep living my life and share what I'm doing instead of trying to create all this content and fit that into my life. Which leads me to the next question. I was going to talk about this later, but I feel like it fits right here, so I'm going to throw it in. But a lot of people were asking how I feel about like sharing kids online, showing their faces, child exploitation, like all that kind of thing, which I personally don't think I exploit my kids. If you do, maybe just don't watch my stuff, because I feel like I am extremely intentional with how I share my kids, and I'm not trying to ever like cross boundaries with them. But I share my life, and my life right now is momming to 2 kids. There is no way I would be able to share any of my life without me sharing like parts of my kids, which I don't have to show their faces, yes, but I personally don't feel a problem with that. I really don't have that big of a following anyways, but it's just not something that I feel bad about. I really just go off of my own mother's intuition, and I feel like I share them in a good way. Now, I do feel like as my kids have gotten older, I think I explained this in my last video, I'm trying to find boundaries when it comes to like how much of certain details can I share. So I'm talking about like potty training, for an example, where I'm not, of course, showing my kid on the toilet going to the bathroom, but I will chat with you guys about how it's going. So that's kind of like my happy medium. But I also record so that way I can look back on these videos. One of my favorite things right now is to go and watch videos of Rocky when he was a baby, and I can't wait to do that with Echo too. I mean, we already can, she's already so much bigger, but it's just fun for me. I love doing it. Like YouTube, I seriously just love. I love recording, I love editing, like I just love having my life where I can look at glimpses of it. I mean, granted, it's only a few minutes of my day, but I really enjoy it. So I feel like I rambled a ton, but I don't think it's good that people are exploiting. I would never use my kids like as a clickbait like that, or like force them to do anything just for like a sponsorship or anything like that. But I did actually talk about this on a podcast with a girl who doesn't show her kid's face. So if you guys want to hear like a full in-depth explanation of like my thoughts on that, I'll leave that linked down below. But that is my little ramble about sharing kids online. All right, my next question was, how is breastfeeding going? So if you guys are new, I breastfed Rocky for 13 months and I am now 9 months into breastfeeding Echo. And it's been going good, except for like the past few days, I've had some few changes. So the first thing is it has been painful on my left side because Echo got all 4 top teeth. And I realized when babies get bottom teeth, for me at least, it doesn't hurt. But when they get those top teeth, like they really just grind against my nipple. And it's not that she's biting me, it's just the angle in which she's nursing. Her teeth are like rubbing into me every time she sucks. She also does this thing where like she sucks and then she like pushes from me. So like it's like just pulling. So that's been fun. I've been trying to just find like different angles that I can feed her in. And honestly, I've just been like sucking it up a little bit because I know it's temporary. That currently is like a negative. And I'll add one more negative. I just ran out of my freezer supply that I had built up from the first few months of nursing Echo with a Haka, and I have been giving her like 2 to 3 ounces of milk at night since she was like 5 months old, and we're now out. I wasn't able to continue to pump. I didn't have enough milk to pump and still feed her 5 to 6 times a day. And so what I have done, I actually started this last night. I didn't give her a bottle and I just put her down. She did wake up around 5 and fuss for a little bit, but she went back to sleep, and I got her at like 6:45 and I fed her. And today actually I'm dropping a feeding. So I'm gonna give her 4 solid feedings, whereas before she was nursing about 5 times a day, but sometimes it was only for like 2 minutes. So I feel like now I can drop that feeding, give her like 4 solid feedings, and then hopefully she'll be fine. She's also eating a ton of solids throughout the day. Like that girl loves to eat, and she likes to drink water too. So I feel good about that. I dropped Rocky to 4 feedings at 10 months old. And so it's like a few weeks early for Echo, but Rocky also didn't eat like any solids until that point. So different kids, different circumstances, but overall it's been really good. I've really enjoyed nursing her. She's just the cutest thing, and I cannot believe I'm already 9 months in. Like I only have a few months left of nursing her, and as freeing as that sounds and as excited I am to like have my body back, I also am going to miss it. I feel like it ages my babies like that when they stop nursing, and it's a really sad point, but it's been great and I have loved that I have been able to nurse her this long. All right, next question was, how do you manage taking time for yourself with 2 babies so little and close in age? There was a lot of questions like this. So other variations were like, how do I reset? How do I find the motivation to wake up early or to go to the gym or things like that? The most consistent time that I find for myself is going to the gym Monday through Friday. Nathaniel doesn't start work until 9, so I get up at like 6, I feed Echo by 6:45, and I'm out the door by 7. And from 7 to 9, I will drive to the gym, work out, and then come back home and like kind of get myself ready a little bit. And that is my me time while the kids are awake. Of course, I have the time before they're awake and the time after they're awake, but honestly, like that doesn't ever feel like enough. Like I feel like I personally needed time while they were awake, where I wasn't the one solely taking care of them. So if that is something doable with you and your husband, I understand a lot of people's husbands don't work from home and don't have a flexible schedule and they commute and so they have less time together. But if that is something that is doable for you, I highly recommend. A lot of mornings I wake up and I do not want to go to the gym. And this sounds really bad, but the driving force for me going to the gym some of the times is the fact that I get time to myself and I don't have to hear any of the whining or the fussing or anything at home. Like I can literally just go check out at the gym. And some days that may be for you, like you just go to the gym and you walk, sit in a sauna, like whatever it is. But that for me gets me out of bed. I feel like too, as your kids fluctuate how much they wake up through the night, it'll be how much time you have before, after they wake up. Because like, for an example, last night, both Rocky and Echo woke up and it was so hard to get up. I don't think I got out of bed until like 6:40. Whereas this past week, neither of them woke up and I was able to jump out of bed at 6 and I felt great. So I think there's just seasons of life for more time for yourself, but if that isn't doable for you, definitely plan nights where you can go and hang out with your friends, or even just like a simple coffee run here or there. If your husband does work from home, you could potentially like leave during their nap. Like right now I'm filming, but if I didn't work, like I could probably go to Target for 2 hours and just like get some me time. So you really just have to kind of be calculated in the way that you are selfish with your own time. But I'm telling you guys, like I've never felt better as a mother of 2 kids than I do now because I have time to myself. So somehow prioritize it. If you can hire help, if you can get someone to help you, I'm telling you, you deserve it. And it's only going to help you as a mother just be a more calm, happy, patient mom. I thought this next one was kind of interesting because I'm always curious too, like how other people do their like day-to-day life. But someone asked, what does Rocky do while you put Echo down for a nap? And I've always been curious what people do with their toddlers while they're nursing their baby too. So I'll share kind of both. But while I'm putting down Echo for a nap, Rocky actually currently helps me. He'll go in and he will close the closet door, he'll turn on the sound machine, he'll turn off the light, and then he'll just kind of wait until I change her, I get her in her sleep sack, and he'll give her a kiss and he helps me shut the door and he says goodnight to her. I think involving your toddlers is huge and I try my best to do that as often as I can. But if your child is not very helpful, some days it hurts me to have him help because he's changing the sound machine to a bunch of different sounds. He's throwing things out of the closet. Like it just becomes more chaotic. And sometimes you just need to resort to other things. Turning on the TV for 10 minutes so that way you can peacefully put down your kid. Do it. Like, why not? Like, the TV is a tool. For like the first 6 months or so that I nursed Echo and I was by myself, I put Rocky in his crib with books, toys, music on, and I just said like, hey, you need to sit in here until I'm done feeding Echo. And sometimes he screamed and sometimes I had to go in there mid-feed, but Echo is an extremely distracted nurser, so I can't just have Rocky playing at my feet. I can't just nurse Echo like in the playroom. She is so consumed in what Rocky is doing, it just does not work. And so that is kind of what I have done. And it works well for us, but I mean, things change so often. So I feel like just finding whatever works for you is really all that matters. All right, the next question was, now that Echo is a bit older, are you more or less worried about having a third? A lot of people asked about baby number 3, which I feel like I've talked about this so many times, but I will touch on it again. Other questions were like, how big of an age gap do you want? Like just all about another baby. So if you guys follow me on my podcast or on TikTok, I talked about my pregnancy scare. I thought I was pregnant on Christmas Day and I bawled my eyes out. I am nowhere ready to have another kid. Nathaniel and I are extremely just like overwhelmed in the life that we already have, that adding another right now, just, I feel like the best way to describe it is I feel like our quality of life would go down. My relationship with Nathaniel would go down. Like we are just not ready or in a good place to be adding another baby. So I feel like, yes, Echo is almost 1 and I got pregnant with Echo when Rocky was 11 months. So to think that I was like, I think I was 4 weeks, 5 days when I found out, and that was when Rocky was 11 months old. So to think that like I only have a month or 2 before I would be pregnant again is just whack. But if you also don't know, I have been breastfeeding or pregnant since December 2019. So we are pushing 3 years now of that, and I am in dire need of some time where my body can just be my body. Our plan has always been to wait until Echo is 2 just to kind of revisit. So we do want like a 3-year gap or so. Yeah, we are in no rush right now. We are still trying to get to that thriving point with 2. The next question was kind of fun. They asked, what have you done different with Echo than you did with Rocky? And then there was a lot of like advice for 2 under 2. And I honestly feel like my best advice is to just do what works for you. I know that's not really super helpful advice at the moment because you have to figure out what works for you, but you can try and do what everyone else says is like the best thing. And every kid is so different that I just don't feel like that's the answer. I feel like you just have to kind of figure out what works for your family. With Echo, I did so many things different because I was such a more calm, confident, and like experienced mom that I didn't stress about a lot of the things that I stressed about with Rocky. And in return, she became a such better eater, sleeper. Like she was so much more easygoing and on the flow because I couldn't be home for every single nap, or I couldn't have the feedings exactly pitch dark, quiet, like all the things. And so I think that alone made her a more easygoing baby. I think just with the more kids you have, the less control you kind of have. So I saw another question that was things you have let go of as a mom, and one of them is control. I still feel like I am a type A person and I like to try and control, but there's so many things in my day that are out of my control, and I feel like I've just kind of been more of a go with the flow kind of person the second time around than the first. Some other things I feel like I let go of is the cleanliness, especially when eating. It's so funny, if I bring my kids around my family, none of them have kids, so if like they even have like the smallest amount of thing on their face, they're like, oh my gosh, like she's so dirty, like you need to clean her. And I'm like, she's fine, like she's just gonna keep getting dirtier, I'll clean her when she's done. Whereas with Rocky, I was like constantly like giving a food, wiping his face, like I don't know. So that's something I definitely let go of. I would say too, just like having to do everything like by the book, I let go of. Again, I'm a type A person. I like to like follow structure and routine, and I've just really realized that like you just kind of have to like listen to your baby. And like for an example, like I talked about this in a TikTok, but like sleep cues and worrying about like wake windows and like how long the nap is and how long they've been awake. Like I used to be so by the book, but like this time around, it's just not that big of a deal to me. Like if Echo wakes up early, I'm like, all right, she's up. Like I'm not in there trying to rock her back to sleep like I did with Rocky. And yeah, it's just crazy the difference of a baby and situation we have had this second time around because I physically couldn't be so controlling and be so like type A with everything. So that's definitely, I feel like the biggest thing I let go of. And I'm kind of proud of myself. I feel like it has reflected on Echo, which is amazing. Not to say that Rocky isn't a great baby. It's just kind of things that come with like you as a parent not knowing what you're doing, if that makes sense. And kind of just to touch a little bit more on 2 under 2, for me personally, the first few months were so easy. Echo was an extremely easy baby. She would sleep anywhere and everywhere, so she would just sleep like on the couch or on the floor, outside, like wherever we were. And so nothing really felt like crazy until she stopped sleeping like that and she had to sleep in her room, and she was awake more. She was moving, she was demanding more attention and just more from me. So I feel like if you're about to have 2 littles, like I don't really know how to word this. I'm not trying to say it's going to be easy because you're still like in the trenches of postpartum and waking up at night and like all that kind of thing. But I feel like for me, if I would have known it would have gotten harder, not necessarily easier, I would have been like more mentally prepared for that. And I always like to assume the worst and like hope for the best kind of thing. So I felt like I thought it would get easier and it only got harder, and that was kind of like a hard hit for me and Nathaniel. So yeah, not to say that that's going to be your situation. You may have a really hard baby and things might get easier as they get older. Again, everyone is so dang different. But that was something for me that I was like, whoa. And it's taken a few months for us to kind of adjust. And that's why the past few months have been really hard for all of us. All right, I just have one more question I'm going to answer, and it's more so to like help give you guys more people to watch and to make you feel less alone in this season of motherhood. I had people ask like YouTube moms or podcasts that I would recommend to listen to, so I'm going to name off a few. If you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know I've collabed with a couple of them. So Cara Jane and Megan Acuna, I love them. Very relatable, realistic videos that just kind of make you feel less alone. Let's see, my friend Brooke has a channel. It's called the Shern Fam. I'll link that. I do like Sarah Owen. Fun fact, her and I both got shouted out by Karen at the same time, so that's how I found her, which is KK and Baby J. I love Brielle Cherie's channel. She's super fun. Oh, I've been loving Bianca Henderson. She has a daughter that's like a month older than Echo, and she's just super cute and fun. I love following her. Of course, I love Milena Ciciotti and Lepke's Life. Those have not been different for a long time. And then I also have a few like fitness channels I like. I like Caitlin Nolan. She used to live in Arizona. I'm just like scrolling my subscriptions, the ones that I actually watch. Oh, JC Marie, of course, love her. And Sarah's Day, how could I have forgotten that? I love Sarah's Day. So those are some YouTubers, and then podcasts. Let's see. Podcasts are a little bit harder. I feel like I don't have as many that I like love. I love the Skinny Confidential, What We Said. I feel like those are two obvious ones. Also, that Caitlin Nolan girl has a podcast. It's called Not Your Typical. I recently found a podcast called Sad to Savage, and this girl just kind of like changed her life around, and she's all about habits, and I've been loving that. Oh, The Social Mom, which Emily and Jimena, if you guys are watching, you guys need to keep posting because I freaking love your podcast, but they haven't posted in a couple months, and I want to collab with them. So I'm like, you guys post so we can collab. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other YouTubers or podcasters that you guys like to watch, link them down below, because it would be fun to just have this as like a hub where everyone can just find moms that they relate to, and they can just like feel less alone, because this season of life, you guys, it can be crazy. Also, I wanted to add one more thing. I feel like lately, and I've talked about this like in a more recent video about how like I was just like really fixated on people helping me and like me not being able to do much and just kind of throwing a pity party for myself. I saw a lot of comments where people were just saying like they're drowning, like it's so hard, like they feel alone, like all that kind of thing. And I have felt that so hard too. And I guess I just want to give like a little bit of encouragement of just try to change your mindset around, because I feel like when I focus on the negatives of anything, like that's all I see. And if you can just focus on all the things you get to do, all of the positives, it is so much more fulfilling and so much more happy. Like for an example, this morning, it's a Monday. I am by myself with the kids. I feel like Mondays are always the worst for me because I'm used to like help and then it's like back to me. And I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't plan a play date. I didn't plan any activities. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to go to the park. And I was pushing both of my kids on the swing, and it just like hit me. Like, these are my two kids. Like, this is something I have dreamed of like my entire life. I get to be home with them. I get to spend all of my time with them. Like, when you flip the narrative like that, everything is so much more fulfilling. And I understand you can't always do that. And of course, there are parts of today where my kids are both screaming at me and I'm like, but I don't know. I just feel like if you can focus on more positive things, like you're just going to feel so much more fulfilled. And I guess I'm sharing because I need to hear that too. But I hope that helps any of you who need to hear it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions, leave them down below, and I can either do like a part 2 if you want, or I can just answer them in the comments. But I love you guys so much. I feel like I never say like how appreciative I am of you all being here for me, but I'm really excited for this year, and I just love YouTube, and I can't wait to keep creating. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.